Hey everyone, thank you for joining our Google Ads webinar today. We still see people piling into the room, so we're going to give everybody about a minute or so here to get rocking, and then we'll go ahead and kick off. All right, let's get rocking and rolling. So thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over here to Ryan in just a short second to teach you guys the basics on Google Ads setup. It's going to be part one of our series. Just wanted to preface the webinar with, if you guys do have any questions, please make sure you drop them specifically in the questions chat. So there's two options in Livestorm. You have chat, which is just going to be for, if you guys want to chat back and forth during the webinar. But if you could drop them in the questions, it'll give us the opportunity to live answer the questions at the end and put them on the screen and all that kind of cool stuff. So again, any questions, please feel free to drop them there. This webinar will be recorded. So if anybody on your team or if you have to run early, you'll be able to watch the replay too. But that said, without further ado, I'll kick it on over to you, Ryan.
Hey, yeah, thank you. And welcome everyone. My name is Ryan Drof. I'm the demand generation specialist here at Viirtue. And thank you to Dan for joining me. Today we're diving into how you can set up and run Google Ads that actually work. We're trying to get these ads to you in a way that makes sense for your business. So if you're brand new to PPC or if you're just jumping in, we've got your back either way. So let's move on. This presentation is specialized just for you. So let's go. Today we're going to talk about like the ad basics, some key terminology in Google Ads, setting up your first campaign, as well as geo-targeting. I think geo-targeting is essential for this line of business, and we're doing some campaign ad and structure setup as well. Diving into keyword strategy, keyword match types, and especially something that's very interesting these days is the AI behavior behind what's the algorithm of Google campaigns these days. So we'll finish up with a Q&A. So jot down your questions if you have them. But again, this is a two-part session. So we will be diving into the basics today and a little bit more of the fundamentals when we get to Connect in October. So if we can, maybe pop along to slide 3. Again, I'm Ryan Drof. I'm the demand generation specialist here at Viirtue, and I'm joined with Dan. One thing that I do want to point out about this entire process is that 46% of all Google searches are actually local. So what we're looking at, MSP buyers are searching for things that interest them in the moment. So when they're searching for topics, they want to go with searches that help them right now. So whether they're having an outage or whether they're searching for support near them, these types of things we're trying to capitalize on. So again, when we buy Google Ads, it's putting you on top of the search. So you're getting the basic search revenue that you can get when people are searching organically and also engaging with your ads. So it gives you the chance to be at the top of the page when it matters the most, in my opinion. So in the first place, what is Google Ads? It's a pay-per-click platform, and you only pay when somebody clicks on your ads. So you have to be a little bit strategic about what you do with it. And there's immediate benefits for MSPs and telcos and IT companies that really just want to get into the visible market with organic or PPC clicks. So it's really performance based. You set the budget, and you immediately see visibility. But the thing about it is you also control spend. So you have high intent buyers. About 90% of B2B buyers start their search with Google. So you're right there. You're getting these clicks no matter what, but you're paying for them also. So what we're seeing here is really a return on investment that makes sense for people that are looking for leads, people that really just want to focus on intent. And I think that's where we can focus these clicks. So let's go through some core metrics that you're dealing with here. Impressions, this is the amount of times your ad is seen. So you can pay for impressions. I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. What we're looking to do is paying for clicks. So that's the number of times users click on your ads. And then let's move on to the CTR, the click-through rate. So that's clicks divided by impressions. And I would assume a healthy range for someone in your industry is around 4 to 7% for these local MSP type ads. And we can expect a CPC, which is a cost per click. You're paying for per click, typically in the range of 5 to 25 when we're talking about tech verticals. But the main focus of these types of ads is conversions. So really, we're going to dive deep into these types of conversions and conversion metrics at the Connect event. And right now, we really just want to focus on the basic setup of these ads. So what we're focusing on is leads, calls, form fills, those types of things. And those are the goal. And you can expect to pay about 5 to 25 for each of these in your vertical, depending on your vertical, but you can kind of pretty much assume that it's going to be in that area. And again, it really depends on how you set up this type of campaign, but you can expect around something like 1,000 impressions or a CTR of like 6% if you're searching for something called managed IT services in Tampa. And we'll get into the different types of ad clicks and varieties of keywords that we can incorporate into your campaigns. But really, again, the goal is form fills. And we can move on to the next slide. So when you set up your first campaign, again, in this situation, we're looking for calls, we're looking for form submissions, we're looking for demo bookings. And the best type of campaign to provide that for us is direct leads, which is a search campaign. So search campaigns provide us with the highest intent of leads. And we need to set clear goals for this. We need to tell Google what exactly we're searching for. And this works in synchronicity with all of the other elements of organic as well. So if you're searching for in our instance, white label VoIP, we want to be clear about what we're searching for. So we need to set a clear goal, which is in our case, leads and demo bookings. So we choose the campaign type, it's search. And in our case, there's a lot of other options we can do, like display or performance max, if you knew anything about this. And this is great about remarketing, but it's not great for direct leads. So we're not really searching for brand awareness at this point. We need to target these direct leads first, and then we can remarket to them. So the campaign type is very important in this case. We're going to choose search. Display is for remarketing. We're going to get to that in the next session. But performance max, demand gen, shopping, those are great for e-commerce, but in our situation, it's not going to work. So what we want to do is just start with a general search campaign and really have high value keywords that we target. Again, once we get those people onto our site, we can tag their information and remarket to them. But at this point, we just really want the high intent value buyers that we're searching for. So again, let's start with search, and I will show you how to set that up at the end of this webinar, but that's the goal. And we can also really dial in to geo-targeting. So how to target locally. You can target by zip code. You can target by city radius. You can target as much as you want with custom maps. And really just prioritize areas that have your boots on the ground. Prioritize areas that you're really seeing results in. And you can also exclude areas that you're not seeing results in. So, that's an added benefit as well. What we really want to do is exclude some low converting areas. So any areas that you're not seeing conversion metrics in, pop those out. And when we really dive into geo-targeting, we see a 20 to 30% better conversion rate compared to not geo-targeting at all, which, makes sense, definitely. But we also have the option to not overlap any sort of competitors location that you're not serving these areas in. And if you do have any sort of like non-compete, or if you have any areas that you don't want to target, you can completely exclude them. It's very easy. You can do it by zip, you can do it by radius, city, etc. You can just really get dialed in with these things. So that's one really good idea to start thinking about when you're making your campaign plan. What areas have you experienced in the past? What areas make sense for you to target? I'm sure you have data on this stuff, and it's great to focus on the areas that are high converting. And again, exclude the ones that are not. So when we're talking about setting up your campaigns, it really makes sense to think about it in this hierarchy. So when we're talking about like the big picture here, the budget, I think, is the most important for a lot of us. Especially for me as a campaign manager, I have to think about budget quite a bit. So we'll start on the campaign level, and you can think about that as the starting point for any kind of ad campaign you want to target. And then we can get a little bit more granular at that point with geo-targeting. We can dial in with our bidding strategy. And we even have different options about the campaign types, such as search, display, PMAX, demand gen. Again, we're going to focus on search here though, specifically because it doesn't really make sense to target display or PMAX or PMAX, by the way, is performance max campaign or display, unless you have a good audience already set up. And that's going to come in part two. But we're looking at demand gen at this point. So search is what we're going to target here. Let's move on to ad groups. So ad groups, we're organizing a set of related keywords that we think that people are going to be searching for. And again, this plays into your organic strategy. So whether you have a blog, whether you have content on your site, this all plays into the fact that people are searching for these things and we want to target them. We're going to pay for them on Google Ads, but each ad should focus on a single service, something that we want intent. People are driving intent when they search for these things. So for example, if we made a campaign, we would want an ad group. We would level it as VoIP services, for example, Tampa, and then have a separate ad group for IT support for law firms, because we're targeting two separate areas here. We really don't want them to overlap. There's a way that they can cannibalize each other. So we want them to be separate. We want them to serve their own purpose rather than cannibalizing each other. So we will dive into that as well in the next lesson, but let's jump into the actual ad sets. So we have the campaign, we have the ad group, and then on the lowest level, we have the actual ads. And this is where you kind of have to get clever about it. You do need to do some research about what copy your target audience is actually interacting with. So this is where you put in the headlines, the descriptions, even the URLs and ad extensions. There's several ad extensions that you can include, but we'll get into that later. Right now, we're going to focus on the headlines and the descriptions. So what we're looking for is 2 to 3 in each ad group. And then what we do is see which one resonates most with our target audience, and we exclude the ones that don't. So we whittle it down to the best performer, basically. And we really just want to align the copy closely with the keywords that are on our landing page. This is really important to Google. If you don't have the keywords that line up with your ads, then Google just won't show it. It's called a quality score. So if the quality score is low, then the ads will not get impressions. And if you don't get impressions, you don't get clicks. So it's really important to have this strategy to align with the copy that's on your page, the copy that's on your ads, and the copy that your intended audience is resonating with. So again, it's really important to align your campaign structure with your intended goal, and just be really clear about the messaging that you're presenting to anyone that would see these ads. So anyone with impressions, we could get very targeted with it, but again, it needs to resonate or else they're not going to convert. So let's talk about some keywords. Again, there's a ton of research that you can do with keywords, and there's a lot of noise in this industry too that you kind of have to ignore. You have to learn what works for you. You can pay for types of solutions like SEMrush or Ahrefs. But there's also a keyword tool within Google itself that you can focus on keywords that you think will resonate, but it also gives you kind of recommendations on what to do if there are no keywords that will get impressions in your industry. And my process is to focus on buyer intent. Just cut through the noise as much as you can. So in this specific industry, for someone like an MSP or an IT reseller or telco, we want to get very specific. We don't want to waste money on keywords that are not going to convert. So, example, IT company near me. That would be a good keyword, but you have to be very targeted with that because if you're competing with other people in the same area or the same zip code, we want to exclude that. So that's where the geo-targeting comes in. So we get a little more granular with that. Voice solutions for law firms in Tampa, for example. That's very specific. Not a lot of people are searching for that exact phrase, but there are solutions for that too. We can do phrase keywords, which we'll get into later, that have the same general intent, but are not exactly what that is. VoIP solutions for law firms in Tampa, for example. You could be searching for VoIP solutions for hospitals in Tampa. Google decides it's the same intent, but you have to be very specific about the keywords that you pop in. So that's why we use Google Keyword Planner. And it's built in. It's built into the system here in Google Ads. So we're not paying extra for that, but you could, of course, buy some paid tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs if you want to. One thing that I would suggest though is Uber Suggest. That's a Neil Patel thing. It's free up to a limit, but I want to focus on layering in local modifiers like near me or zip codes. And that's where you're going to find the most successful results with this. It really depends on your market, but this webinar is focused on giving people the best results within the MSP IT reseller industry. So what I would suggest in this case is really these local modifiers. Don't be too broad. And we're going to get into that later. But at the same time, you just really need to do your research, see the volume of search results before you even bid on a keyword. If you're looking at a low volume and a high cost per click, then it's not going to make sense to bid on that keyword. And essentially, this is what it is. You're bidding on keywords. You're bidding on these words, and your competitors are also bidding on them. So, it's an auction, and you can lose sometimes. But if you're clear on your intent, if you're clear on your focus, then you're going to have some results, and they're going to be good. So here's some more explanation on the exact types of keywords. And in this industry, I would never recommend using a broad match keyword. Especially, we'll get into some examples of why that's a bad idea later. But these days with AI search and AI snippets and those types of things, it's better to be as precise as you can. So I would recommend, in my experience, using exact match or phrase match very sparingly. Personally, I don't use the broad match anymore because it just triggers too many things that we're not searching for. The intent is too broad. it just gets jumbled, especially with the AI search that we're seeing today. And I really just don't like, you know, having to put so many negative keywords in to stop these from happening. So in my experience, I would suggest using exact match or phrase match. And that, for example, let's look at a phrase match. VoIP provider near me triggers the same result as affordable VoIP provider for me. So say we don't want to include the word affordable. That's fine. We can put a negative keyword as a phrase match called affordable. And we do that within quotes. So that excludes anything that is affordable VoIP near me. So we would just get VoIP provider near me instead of affordable. If we pop back up to exact match keywords, we can look at the example called managed IT services in Tampa. This triggers exactly managed IT services in Tampa. And this used to be the case, but what we're finding now is exact match is very, very similar to phrase match. Um, and we want to be a little bit more targeted with that. So excluding things like broad match, using phrase match sparingly, and focusing on exact match, I think in your case will get you the best results. So that's my advice. If we're doing key match word types, 100%, I recommend exact match. And here we are. A little bit more about what's going on right now with AI search. So it's just become too broad. And if you don't have anything like SEO going on, if you're exclusively paying for keywords on Google search, you're going to get burned. So it's a very big ecosystem. You have to focus on all of these things if you want to be successful. And one important thing to keep in consideration is the broader the match, the more money you're going to spend. So, like I said, if you have a tight budget, if you're looking for just like exact intent, without the crazy spend that we're seeing today, then don't show up for relevant terms. Just be very clear on your intent. Example, you don't want to show up for free antivirus reviews. That doesn't make sense. No one's giving anything away for free. So exclude that search and really just delve into as much content as you can on your site if possible. Um, and the more that the content on your site matches the terms or keywords that you're bidding on, the better results you will see. So, recommendation, limit early campaigns. Don't spend too much on early campaigns because it takes a long time for Google to actually decide how you compare to your competitors. So don't use broad match at first. If you're going to start a campaign, start with a very targeted search campaign with a very strong list of keywords. And again, there's multiple tools that you can use. If you don't have a paid version of stuff like SEMrush or Ahrefs, you can always use Ubersuggest or the built-in keyword tool that Google provides. And we'll get into this next time, but conversion tracking is very, very important. So what happens with conversion tracking is it's a learning algorithm. Google learns what type of behavior is good and bad and sends signals to the campaigns that allow that feed of information to generate more leads in the same capacity that converted before. So really just having robust conversion tracking, there's several ways to do this, but it's very, very important. If you're not tracking your conversions, then you're wasting money, to be honest. So um, the kind of fast and steady rule here is target CPA. If you have 50 or plus conversions a month, that's a lot. I would say 30 plus conversions a month is okay to set a target CPA, which cost per action, which basically is cost per lead each month. And once you target this, once you have really good data to feed Google, it's, set and forget. What does Ron Popeil say? That type of thing. So just set it and forget it type of thing. But it does take a lot of legwork at the beginning to get to this point. So again, limiting early campaigns with exact and phrase match is how you get there. And then if you're seeing those conversion actions, then you can open it up to exact and phrase match. Broad match. But let me back up a little bit. These negative keywords are very important as well. If you're getting search terms that are not in your intent, then you need to block these keywords. For example, a lot of competitors have keywords that you don't want to appear in search for. Just a random example is some of our competitors appear in our search. The intent is for them to search for that competitor, not for us. So we have a branded campaign, but we don't have campaigns that competitor would search for. That's a different intent. So when you're searching for things, it has to be very kind of precise. And you have to really know what your potential clients are searching for. So to recap at this point, really the setup is important. And we just need to be precise in what we're searching for. So what I would love to do is kind of pop into a demo campaign and just kind of show you how to even set up your first campaign. Just give me a second here. Oh, and if you could, there is a poll question. Is anyone using Google Ads at this point? And if not, would you be interested in it? I've lost my tab. There it is.
You can go ahead and just vote on that poll, everybody, and Ryan's going to take us through an actual demo of setting up a Google ad. Let me know if you need a hand, Ryan. I'm sharing.
Yeah, 1 second. Hold on. Just share the window. That's better. Here we go. All right. So starting at the basics, we're just going to want to create an ad. You do need to sign up, obviously, and there needs to be a credit card attached to the account. So when you do sign up, you go through the usual process, and Google will charge you each month based on the threshold that you set. So you can set the threshold as much as you want, 5, 10,000, 500, whatever. But you can set the threshold to not charge you more than you are expecting. And when you first get in, once you've set everything up, assumed, then just go to create. And we're going to start with a campaign here. And once you get into your account, you can create a campaign. So in this case, the best starting point is a leads campaign. If you have other goals like website traffic or awareness and consideration, to be honest, these are things for larger companies that have other goals. In our case, I think that leads is the best starting point here. So you can have Google hosted lead submission forms, or you can host your own lead submission forms, which I would recommend. I found that Google hosted lead submission forms are a little bit spammy, and you do need to take considerations like XCAPTCHA, those types of things. Click, I would recommend Click, which is a third-party company that stops spam clicks from happening. So if you're going Google hosted, which again, I would not recommend, then you have to take precautions. Website clicks, we'll get into the next page, the next webinar, but they are hosted on your own site, and you do need to be responsible for them and setting up conversion tracking. Then we need to select the campaign type. So again, these types of campaigns are great for remarketing, great for awareness, but bad for intent. So we're just going to start with search in this case. And what we're going to do is lead form submissions, and in your case, probably phone calls. So you need to have phone extensions set up as well, but we can get to that as well. So we're just going to name the campaign whatever you want. And the hard and fast rule here is not to start with conversions. That's the goal, but that's not where we start. You want to start with clicks. And once you get enough clicks, once you get enough conversions to have data in your account, then you can set a maximum cost per click in this case. And we do not want to check bid for new customers only. There's a lot of kind of weird tricks that Google really does to make you spend more money than it's worth, and we don't want to do that. So we're all about cost savings here. We just want to get the leads, so let's move on. This is a huge thing. Do not allow Google to expand with these partner networks. You're just going to get garbage leads all day, and it's going to be bad for business. All of these things are kind of annoying, but you just have to do it. Another point of interest is obviously we want to be in the US, but this little trick here, presence. You have to click presence. If you don't click presence, then you get people searching for Tampa. Maybe they want to go to Busch Gardens. I don't know. That's the type of thing that you're going to see if you show up with interest. So exclude that, jump into presence, and then you're good. And make sure you're only targeting English speaking. Again, it gets a little weird here. So if you're targeting anything else than just English, you might get Arabic speaking countries, Africans, you name it. But one thing that we'll dive into in the next segment is this audience. Audience is very good for, again, retargeting. If somebody visits your site and you want to retarget them with a very targeted ad, you can do that. Again, you need to target on this setting, targeting, and you can upload your own segments based on what they are searching for or what they are researching. Um, Honestly, at this point, unless you're getting like really, really into the ads, I would not touch this. I would focus on just the search and the search intent. I would focus on keywords and avoid anything else other than that. So with these settings, you can also perform with the best performing ads. So this is a great setting for A/B testing. You don't even really have to A/B test yourself. So if you put multiple variations in your ads when you create them, it's just going to automatically optimize for you. So you don't really have to A/B test, or you can choose to not A/B test or optimize at all. That's up to you. But I would recommend optimizing at this setting. So it prefers the best performing ads, the ones that people are seeing the most, the ones that people are clicking on most, are going to be the ones that appear the most. And this is where it gets huge. This is a new thing that Google decided to jump out at this point. Um, I haven't done a ton of testing with optimizing with AI maps. What I do know about this though is if you turn it on, it has the option to actually customize the text and the final URL that appears to people who are clicking on your ads. Um, if if you do turn it on, you need to have brand exclusions, because if you don't put in a brand exclusion list, then your ads are just going to show for all of your competitors. And unless you want that, it's not good. It's usually a waste of clicks. So if somebody's searching for, Burger King, they see McDonald's. We don't want that. We want them to be very targeted. So if you want Burger King to show up, you would have to exclude that McDonald's. So again, I would leave this off for now. It's a brand new thing. And what we've found is it's just way too broad at this point. So I wouldn't use that unless you're very comfortable with showing your competitors as well. And here's a good step for keyword and asset generation. So um, at this point, you can generate your own assets by a Google selected or generated AI, I suppose, at this point. And it's really cool. It's really cool to see this happen. But at the same time, you have to really check it to make sure, because this is just kind of our metadata that's on the site. So you can review the ad groups and just, again, double check to make sure this is actually what you want to say, because the keywords are going to be generated next. click on it. There it is. And it kind of makes its own ad group recommendation. And you could follow this if you want, or you could create your own. To be honest, I think this is a great starting point, but you really, again, have to dig into it and make sure that the intent matches up with your landing page or the intent of your customers who are actually searching for your product. So we have these assets. These are assets that are on our landing page right now. And it generated these descriptions for us. When you're making an ad, it needs to be a headline, a description, and you have the option to have these assets as well. But we don't have to have them if they don't match up. In my recommendation, I would check these descriptions very carefully. I would A/B test everything, make multiple ads, but it's a good starting point. And then we get to the budget. So the budget really depends on what you have, obviously. For an MSP that's targeting local business, I would suggest $50 a day. Starting at $50 a day, targeting local businesses or local searches and scaling from there. Again, once you reach 30 conversions, you can really scale up. If you don't have conversion data, you're just really not going to get anywhere and you're just wasting money at that point. So I would start at $50. Name it whatever you want, but you need to suggest to Google that your intent is leads. And again, these conversions, they're very important. So we'll set up conversion tracking next time, but the bidding is also very important as well. So we're starting at clicks. Whenever you make a fresh campaign, start at clicks. Once you get 30 conversions, then you can switch to conversions and set a TCPA, which is target cost per action. From there, you're kind of cooking with gas. You can just kind of leave it on automation, and you do have to weed out some negative keywords, but in order to see your target cost per action, Google has some metrics that you can follow if you go into the campaign settings, and that's going to be for next time. But we do need to set a target CPA if we're doing an automated bidding strategy. Otherwise, you can set your own bidding strategy and cost per click, those types of things. We can even get as granular as setting locations, setting times, those types of things. But if we're just starting out, be sure to start with this. Don't start with conversions, start with clicks. Again, do not use only US. And that's, at face value, how to start your campaign. And we can get into really granular things like click-through rate. Start to monitor that. Obviously, you're looking at cost. I think, in my opinion, the most valuable metrics would be the conversion rate, obviously the cost per conversion, and the CPC. So my recommendation, if you're doing this yourself, check it daily. See what's converting. See what's getting clicks. If it's not your intention, or if it's not leading you in the right direction, bid lower for it. You can do manual CPC by getting into the keyword section here. So for instance, things like void pre-seller, those types of things. What we're looking at here is obviously fake data. I just set this up, but these are the metrics that we're going to look at if we want to respond to what's happening live. So I look at this every day on today's settings, and I see what the click-through rate is. In this industry, impressions are not huge. You'll get shown a lot. You just don't want to make sure, you want to make sure that you're not getting shown for things that you don't want to appear for. So that's when the negative keywords come in. If you see that you're seeing a lot of stuff that is showing up that you don't want to show up for, you can pop in some of these negative keywords here. So this is where you put like branded keywords, etc. And locations. You can not show an Angola if you don't want to. But that is my general overview. And I think at this point, we should probably take some questions.
All right, let me tune back in. Hopefully you can hear me. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Ryan. That was an awesome demo. And I hope a lot of you folks were hopefully following along and are able to set up your first Google ads. If we can, Marcy, let's throw up, I know we have 2 more polls. And the first poll I think was very telling, and that was kind of what we were looking for, is how familiar are you folks with Google ads? And the poll results and just the overall the feedback that we've gotten when we talk with partners one-to-one is that most of you are just not running Google ads. Some of the partners I spoke to, the primary concern that I've heard or the objection is that the thought is that they're too expensive, and you're competing with people with huge budgets like Ring Central and things of that nature. So just like Ryan showed us today, the ability to hyper target your area and specifically what your buyers are searching for is going to really help you stay ahead of them, and why Ring Central and those folks, they're bidding on the entire country. So it should really be advantageous to you guys. And we have another poll here. Which of these would be most valuable to help you succeed with Google Ads? And just if you could go ahead and vote on that. Some of the ways that we're thinking about this is, what's more efficient for us to really train you guys heavily on how to set this up for your own businesses, or Viirtue to kind of build out a program where we drive end customer demand to our partners. So we're just trying to, again, capture that feedback. Would you prefer, full service PPC management where we handle everything, we generate the leads for you, and we ship them off? Obviously, there would, I'm sure, be a cost associated with that, with the cost of the lead, but stuff we can get into if that becomes the more popular option. Would you prefer us to build you a plug and play kit, with ads, different keyword lists, setup instructions? Would you prefer stuff like this, where we have monthly webinars and coaching to help you guys with your campaigns, potentially even part of your success meetings? Or would you prefer just like one time we help you set up? Or are you just not even interested in any PPC support at this time? You just want to run and do your thing. Cool, great votes. And then if we can also move on, I know we have one more. If Viirtue offered a done-for-you Google Ads service, how likely would you be to use it? So again, on that last point, would you guys prefer if this is something that Viirtue did for you, or is it something that you guys would prefer that, again, we continue to train you and you're able to customize? Get another second, capture those votes. Thank you all for participating. Awesome. Cool. This is great feedback and stuff we will continue to talk about at Viirtue Connect. So with that, let me reshare my screen. And then Ryan, I don't know if you want to tease out the Viirtue Connect session.
I do want to tease it out, yes. Join us in October if you can. We're going to get into a lot more stuff. More specifically, I think this is kind of like the biggest thing in the world, conversion tracking. So setting up conversion tracking, getting those leads in, and again, as I kind of teased earlier, it's just setting it up so it's automated, that automated bid tracking, bidding in general is just really where I think everyone's wheelhouse will be. So identifying that waste and spend, getting that out, and just scaling those results. So yeah, that's going to happen in October in Nashville. So please join us there.
Awesome. Yeah, and that shameless plug, please make sure to get your tickets. I know we're already booking up pretty quickly for the event, and it's crazy. We're just a little over 2 months away from it. It's going to come up really quickly. Super pumped again for Viirtue Connect. Anybody who's joined us for the last two, it's been really rewarding for both of them. Partners learn a lot, gives us the opportunity to meet with you guys face to face. We'll have all the key stakeholders from Viirtue there, so you'll be able to share feedback and everything that comes with it. It just really is a really great event. This is our first one that's going to be outside of our HQ area. So again, super excited. Make sure you log on there to connect.viirtue.com to grab tickets. You can join us there. And as Ryan said, this will be one of several courses. Last year, we had two great poll results. We had one that for folks, would you consider attending? The folks that attended last year, would you attend the next one? 100%. I don't think you ever have a poll that has 100%, but 100% responded that they would, they found value and they wanted to attend. And then even more importantly, we are going to have tons of technical tracks and sessions for everybody. But the response last year was pretty overwhelming that you guys really want help generating leads and new business. So a good amount of the focus at Viirtue Connect this year is going to be on marketing and winning new business. That's really what we're trying to help you guys do, as well as obviously the technical courses and some of the integrations like Call Cabinet and stuff that we have coming down the pike in Zima. So anyway, we really thank you guys for joining us here. Ryan, thank you specifically for putting this all together. Gil as well for the slides, and Marcy for being in the background producing as always. And again, thank you guys all for your business. We really do appreciate the partnership. And if you guys do have any feedback, please feel free to drop it, whether it's here or of course, you guys know I'm always on Slack in the Viirtue community. Happy to chat with you guys about this stuff there. But really hope to see you guys get some of these Google ads set up. And ideally for a part 2 at Viirtue Connect, if any of you guys do set these up successfully, we would love for you to show those use cases there too. So again, really thank you guys for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.